Hello, this is Virgil Labrador, Editor-in-Chief of Satellite Markets and Research, and we're here in Bremen, Germany at the SpaceTechExpo Europe with Christian Schmierer. He's the founder and CEO of Hyimpulse Technologies. It's a German-based launch service provider, and here to talk about their company is Christian. So Christian, welcome to this videocast.
Thank you for coming by and welcome to our booth here in Bremen.
Yes, so this is a really interesting show. It's not in the radar of many people in the satellite industry, but it's actually very big here in Europe. I see a lot of companies. How's the show so far for you?
It has been excellent. So our booth is really busy, and Bremen, the SpaceTechExpo here, has been proving over the last years as the central event in Europe for the new space industry, and it's really great.
Right. So for those of our viewers who are not familiar with your company, can you explain a little bit on what your company does?
Yeah, we are developing a small launch service for small satellites using a quite unique propulsion system. We are using candle wax as the fuel, which is basically paraffin with secret ingredients that make it more powerful and mechanically stable. And then we use liquid oxygen in the combustion chamber to combust the paraffin and create the thrust. And the advantage of our system is that it's much cheaper to produce, much cheaper and safer to operate, because candle wax cannot explode. And therefore we are developing a small launch service that's actually economically sustainable and will reduce the cost of small launch services dramatically for our customers.
Are we talking about candle wax, ordinary candle wax, which you can find in most homes?
In principle, yes. So, like I said, we order paraffin from industrial suppliers, but then we have to mix in certain ingredients to make it more stable and burn correctly.
Right.
And that's our secret sauce, of course, to the engine.
Right. And well, that kind of, there's a term called candle power. It used to be, right? So, do you measure it in horsepower or candle power?
No, I mean, we measure the efficiency of a rocket engine similar to everyone else in the specific impulse. That's the metric that is interesting. And in fact, our specific impulse is exactly the same like all kerosene-based engines, because paraffin chemically is very similar to kerosene. It's just solid instead of liquid.
Right.
And that allows us to have the same high performance than a liquid rocket engine, but a much simpler architecture of the rocket and lower costs thereby.
Right. Yeah, so cost, you mentioned cost. That's a really big concern in the industry. So how do you reduce the cost to your customers?
Yeah, the technology inherently reduces the cost. If we have a hybrid rocket engine, it has much less parts than any liquid rocket motor. We need less valves, less pipes, because one component of the propellants is already in the engine. The paraffin is already in the engine during the manufacturing. So we only have the liquid oxygen, so we can remove half the tanks, half the pipes, half the valves, and most importantly, half the turbo pumps, which is the most expensive part of a rocket, and therefore the cost is already cut in half by the architecture of the vehicle, and that we can of course give directly to our customers in reduced launch cost.
Now, this is not just a concept, right? You've already tested it and you've actually already had a successful launch.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yeah, we have launched our first rocket earlier this year in May in Australia. It uses the same engine as the orbital rocket, but only one. So the orbital rocket will bundle 8 engines in the first stage, while the suborbital test flight that we did earlier this year had 1 engine. But other than that, it's the same technology, and for us was a key milestone to prove to the industry that our technology works and has the same propulsion efficiency like liquid kerosene engines.
So you specialize in the small satellite launch market, so to LEO space. Talk about that market.
Yeah, that's correct. So we see, of course, a growing demand in small satellites. A lot of small satellite operators are now getting into maturity. They don't want to rely only on large rockets to deploy their satellites somewhere. They want to go to specific orbits with specific inclinations and ascending nodes, and that you can only achieve with a small launch service, where you tailor the mission exactly to your customer's needs. And we can offer that, of course, because our rocket has a smaller payload capacity, is cheaper, but also because we can launch from particular launch sites to tailor to the mission demands of the customer.
Very interesting technology, very unique and innovative.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the best thing is, of course, you pass on the cost savings to your customers.
Yes.
So, do you have any customers lined up? What's next for Hyimpulse?
Yeah. So we have signed yesterday a new contract with the European Space Agency to support our development. That will bring us closer to the first orbital launch, which will happen in about 2 years. In the meantime, we will also continue our suborbital development, where we want to improve the capacity and the capabilities of the rocket, especially towards active guidance and higher payloads. And we have, of course, already discussions with plenty of customers, both from Europe, US, but also from the Asia-Pacific area and Australia. And of course, I cannot mention all of them now because of NDA agreements, but there is increased interest in launch capability with dedicated launches because the large rockets are not satisfying the customer need anymore for them.
Now, as far as where it's going to be launched, are you going to continue with Australia, or are you looking into others for your future launches?
Yeah, so Australia is very attractive for us because it offers a wide range of inclinations, and we want to continue cooperation with Australia, with Southern Launch, the launch site operated there. But our main European launch site is planned to be in Shetland Islands in the UK, which is the Saxaford spaceport that we are planning to use as our first launch base for the first orbital launches.
Right, so very, very interesting and lots to look forward to.
Yeah, we are looking forward to all the launches, definitely.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to add, Christian?
I think if your viewers and listeners are interested in learning more about us, please contact us. Go to our LinkedIn page, contact us on LinkedIn or on our website. We are open for partnerships around the world. We are looking for customers that want to launch with us in the next 2 to 5 years. And please contact us. We are happy to engage in the conversations.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Christian. So, Hyimpulse Technologies, a launch service provider, which we are following very closely here in satellitemarkets.com. And for all the news and information on the global satellite industry, you can always go to Satellite Markets and research at www.satellitemarkets.com.